So what's in a bag? This is a guide to packing a pantry bag with the HPNAP minimums in mind, as well as recommendations in mind. The underlying question is, can basic nutrition equal a full pantry package? I'm gonna date myself. Growing up, it was the basic 4 food groups. Anybody else remember those? Then we went to the first food guide pyramid, which was just a basic triangle, and it had grains on the bottom. And each triangle, as you went up, got smaller, meaning you needed less of it. They then went to, I don't know if you can, somewhere we have it. They then went to my pyramid, which is right there. And the idea behind my pyramid was that the different size triangles represented that you needed different amounts from each group. However, shockingly, people found this confusing and difficult to follow. What I did like about my pyramid was that on the side, it has those steps. So the steps are to incorporate physical activity, but also you can't make all these changes overnight. You're going to take small steps to get to where you need to be. But that's okay. They have updated it and revised it to My Plate. My Plate is very simple, very straightforward, very easy to understand. So one of the links in the chat box is the myplate.gov website. My Plate has a lot of great, fantastic information about eating healthy, more about each individual component, some helpful tools and resources. So I do encourage you to go to that website, but we're going to talk about My Plate right now. So when talking about My Plate, the first idea is that you want to make half of your plate fruits and vegetables. If I were to compare a 10-year-old child to my very large husband, they need different amounts of food, okay? But they will also have correspondingly different size plates. So when looking at your plate, instead of having to count everything, a basic rule of thumb is half of your plate is vegetables and fruits. And if you look at the pictures, you can see that's a little bit more vegetables than it is
in my hearing aid.
Okay, so you want to focus on fruits, get a variety of colors, vary your vegetables. When talking about fruits, you want to aim for 2 cups a day of fruit. Does that sound like a lot to you? I want you to think about it, like an average size apple is about 1 cup. You know, a small to medium apple is 1 cup. You know, a medium banana is 1 cup. So 2 cups of fruit isn't really out of whack. We want you to choose from fresh, from frozen, canned, dried, or 100% juice. They all count. They all matter. It does not have to be fresh. All too often people think fresh is the only way to go. We're in upstate New York. A lot of what we get fresh is not all that fresh. And 100% juice does count. However, you want to limit the juice to 1 serving a day, because juice is when you take the fruit and squeeze it to make the juice, all that pulp that is left, that pulp is your fiber, which is one of the big reasons you are eating more fruits and vegetables. So it's not that juice has added sugar, it's that it does not have the fiber. And fiber helps to regulate your blood sugar, helps to keep your system regular. So when eating fruits, you need to watch your serving sizes. A cup is about, a large banana or an orange, a small apple, 1 cup of juice. Vegetables, we want to aim for at least 3 cups a day of vegetables and fruits. Again, more vegetables than fruits. Fruit naturally has more sugar, natural sugar, therefore more calories, which is why we want to aim for more vegetables. Most people seem to eat a lot more fruit than they do vegetables. So you really have to work on getting more vegetables in. But again, you're choosing from fresh, frozen, canned, or dried, and you want a variety. Excuse me, you want the deep oranges, the reds, the deep greens, the colors. The different colors do different things for your body. The phytochemicals, they have just different properties that help your body in different ways. Variety is the spice of life. Dried beans and dried peas are fascinating in that They're a good source of protein as well. So they're not just full of vitamins and minerals and fiber, but they're also a really good source of protein. So they are unique in that they can be considered either a vegetable or a protein. But you can't have some beans with dinner and say, well, there's my vegetable and my protein. You have to make that choice which it is. Starchy vegetables, potatoes, corn, peas, are a vegetable. Yes, they are starchy, as are the beans, but they are still considered to be a vegetable. General nutrition. If you have specific disease-related diets that you have to follow, you might be told something different by your doctor. Doctor will trump everything else. Okay. But potatoes, corn, and peas do count as vegetables. When looking at your grains, you want to make half of your grains whole. Easy rule of thumb. What's not so easy is aim for 6 ounces a day. What? Right? So, but when you look at your plate, a quarter of your plate is filled with your grains. And half the time you want them, at least half the time you want to make them whole. A whole grain means it contains the entire grain kernel. It has not been processed. Examples of whole grains are your whole wheat flour, not just wheat flour, because white bread's made from wheat flour, okay? Whole wheat, cracked wheat or bulgur, oatmeal, whole cornmeal, brown rice, farro, all sorts of other things are considered to be whole grains. A refined grain is your traditional white grain. They've been milled, they've removed the bran and the germ. And by doing so, it gives it a finer texture and improves the shelf life, but it also takes away some of the fiber, the iron, and many of the B vitamins. Sometimes they add it back, but if they do, they're kind of picking and choosing what they add back. They're not putting back everything that they removed when they milled that grain. Some examples of refined grains are your white breads, your white pasta, your white rice, your degermed cornmeal. Now, I love my pasta, my white pasta. I'm not a fan of whole wheat pasta. I just am not, but that's okay. So when I'm having pasta, I have the white pasta, but make sure that my other grains throughout the day are whole grains. You want to go lean with your protein. You notice that here the protein is only a quarter of your plate. Again, basic rule of thumb. What's interesting is most adults only need 5 ounces for the entire day. We tend to way overconsume protein. Okay, so 5 ounces a day for the entire day or a quarter of your plate. When choosing your proteins, you want to try to choose from, you're going to choose from meat, poultry, seafood, eggs, nuts and seeds, dried beans and dried peas, and your processed soy products. And then we have that little cup there for our milk. So get your calcium-rich foods. The calcium is good for your bones, okay? It also helps to regulate your blood pressure as well. So you want to make sure you are choosing your lower fat items. So you want to choose fat-free or skim milk, same thing, low fat or 1% milk. We are aiming for 3 cups a day of dairy. Some options are low fat or fat-free milk, low fat cheese. I will never tell you to eat fat-free cheese. That is just, it's an unpleasant thing and it doesn't even melt. And anyway, you want to choose from low fat cottage cheese, low fat yogurt. I would avoid the fat-free yogurt. Fat-free yogurt tends to be sweetened with artificial sweeteners. So just stick with a low fat yogurt. Some fat is good. And calcium fortified soy milk. All right. Any questions on my plate? Okay. Excuse me. So let's talk about HPNAP. What is HPNAP? Let's start with that. HPNAP it stands for Hunger Prevention Nutrition Assistance Program. It's funded by the New York State Department of Health, Division of Nutrition. It depends on inclusion and then passage in the New York State budget. So it is funding that is available for emergency feeding programs, which is a food pantry, a soup kitchen, or an emergency shelter. And it is utilized in way it's put directly on account at the food bank to help offset the cost of the more nutritious foods. It doesn't always make sense what is covered and what is not. We will talk about some of that. HPNAP has some requirements. For example, at least somebody has to take food safety at least once every 5 years. You must serve everybody the first time. But what we're going to focus on today is that when accepting HPNAP, you are agreeing that you will provide each person in that household 3 meals a day for 3 days, according to the HPNAP Minimum Food Guide for 3-Day Pantry Package, which really needs a much shorter name. And if you've seen that chart, that can be kind of confusing, right? I'm going to try to break it down so that we take out any mystery and hopefully it makes more sense to you. So let's start with the basic premise is that by using this guide, you're going to ensure that each HPNAP meal package is roughly approximating the My Plate suggestions. Okay. HPNAP requires that each meal, whether you be a food pantry, soup kitchen, or a shelter, each meal has at least 1 serving of a fruit or vegetable. Ideally, it has 2. When looking at the different food groups on the left, we have so while there are 5 food groups that I just went through, for the sake of the food pantries, HPNAP combined it into 3 groups. Our vegetables and fruits are very similar to each other. The fiber, the vitamins, the minerals, the difference being the amount of sugar and calories in each. Again, more vegetables than fruits is what's recommended. We're using the term choice. It's not great. Point might be a better word, but the word that HPNAP uses is choice. For a vegetable and a fruit, 1 choice is about 4 servings. And they're saying that each person needs about 6 servings a day. When looking at your proteins, they acknowledge that not everybody has enough cold storage to keep all of the dairy products. So they combined the protein and the dairy into 1 category. Yes, you're consuming dairy for protein, but also for calcium. But they felt that the protein was probably more important as a general guidance. So we have put our proteins, our non-meat proteins, and our dairy as 1 group. And in this case, 1 choice is the equivalent of about 4 ounces of protein, with you needing 5 ounces of protein per day. Which brings us to the grains. Here they're saying 1 choice is an average of 12 servings, and you need about 6 servings per person per day. So again, if at any point you need me to stop, or if you have questions, I will try to make sure I'm not doing my normal fast talk and give you an option to unmute. Okay, we're going to focus more on the vegetables and the fruits right now. Like I said a few minutes ago, fresh, frozen, canned, dried, or 100% juice. Okay, not your juice blend, not your juice drink, but 100% juice. Because it doesn't have that fiber, like we talked about, HPNAP is limiting the juice to 1 per household. So you can give juice, but if you give multiple things of juice, it's not going to count more than that 1. There are some tips. So encourage your guests to rinse your canned vegetables and canned fruits. By rinsing your canned vegetables, you can lower the salt content by up to half if it's not already a low sodium product. And if your canned fruit comes packed in syrup, you can put it in a colander and rinse the extra sugar off. Some of the handouts or the websites in the link that we included is for mealtime.org, which is the Canned Food Alliance, and they have a lot of great resources on the benefits of using canned foods, as well as handouts on the sodium and the sugar in canned foods. So our proteins. You want to offer lean meat and low fat or fat-free dairy whenever possible. And our grains, again, more whole grains when possible. All right, here's the meat and potatoes of it. What equals a choice? So for a vegetable and a fruit, they've already done the calculations for you. A choice kind of balances the package size, the number of servings, as well as variety, so that you don't have to read each can and say, well, this can has this number of servings in it. You just have to say it's a 15-ounce can of green beans. It equals one choice. So we've taken that math out of the picture for you to make your jobs easier. So what equals a choice? One choice of vegetable or fruit could be 1 can of spaghetti sauce or canned vegetable, a 1-pound package of frozen vegetables, 15 ounces of dried fruit, 15 ounces of canned fruit. When it comes to fresh produce, it doesn't come nicely packaged and weighed all of the time. If it does, well, there you have your math done for you. Okay, so if it's a 1.5 pound package of something, then that's 1.5 choices. But if it doesn't, a bunch of broccoli, well, I'd say 2 bunches of broccoli, it's going to be about one choice. A bunch of bananas, one choice. 1 head of lettuce. If it comes to like the individual pieces of fruit or vegetables, we say it takes 4 of those to equal one choice. Instant potatoes are not ideal, but they do count. So a 13.75 ounce package of instant potatoes is one choice. If you have the packages that are 6 ounces, if you give me 2 of those, I'll take that as one choice. And again, fruit or vegetable juice that is 100%, a 46 or 48 ounce container will count as one choice. So if you give them a 64 ounce container of juice, is that a 1 point something, 1 in a fraction? No, it's one choice. If you give them 2 things of juice, it's still only one choice. Okay, moving down. We have canned beans. A 15 ounce is one choice of protein, or if you remember, it could also be one choice of vegetable. 15 ounce can, one choice of vegetable, or one choice of protein. That is your choice, depending on what you have available. Dried beans. If you ever prepare dried beans, you know that it makes a lot more, right? So a 1 pound bag of dried beans is 2 choices. Peanut butter, 18 ounce package of peanut butter is 3 choices. Your canned stew or chili, 15 ounces is one choice. 6 eggs is one choice. So 1 dozen eggs is 2 choices. Your frozen meat, fish, or poultry, 8 ounces, which is a half a pound, is 2 choices. So if you're giving 1 pound of meat, that is 4 choices. Your canned meats, if your canned chicken, tuna, or salmon, the 5 ounce cans, it takes 2 cans to equal one choice. The larger 15 ounce cans equal 2 choices. And you're like, Carrie, what's wrong with your math right there? But if you think about it, these canned meats are packed in water. So there's proportionally less water in the larger cans than there is in the smaller cans. And it's not my math anyways. Liquid milk, whether it be shelf stable or refrigerated, 1 quart, which is 32 ounces, is one choice. Using the same math, a half a gallon of milk is 2 choices. If you have little individual milks, it takes 4 8-ounce containers to equal one choice. If you have the non-fat dry milk powder in an envelope, that's one choice. Cottage cheese, a 1 pound container of cottage cheese is 2 choices. 4 yogurts is one choice. Greek yogurt it takes 2 to equal one choice. Here's where we get you with the cheeses. American cheese, not cheese food. 8 ounces equals 1 choice, but the harder cheeses, your cheddar, your mozzarella, your Monterey Jack, 8 ounces is 2 choices. All right. I know I'm just doing a lot of talking. It's going to get better. Bread, 1 loaf, 1 choice. 6 rolls or bagels equals 1 choice. And again, don't forget the food safety. If you have a large thing that you're breaking down, please make sure you're following the appropriate guidelines. Macaroni and cheese. How many of you consider that to be a protein or a meal, right? But if you think about it, it requires that you add milk. And there is no guarantee that they are going to add the milk. So for that reason, HPNAP has decided macaroni and cheese is not a protein source. It is a grain source. So we're disregarding the cheese packet and counting the pasta. So it takes 3 boxes of mac and cheese to equal 1 pound to equal 1 choice. And same with your flavored rices, whether it be rice-a-roni or the bagged rice mix. It's 3 choices to 3 containers to equal 1 choice. 1 pound of pasta or rice is a choice. 18 ounces of oatmeal is 1 choice. Now keep in mind your individual packets. Make sure you're following food safety guidelines, not distributing them individually unless they're labeled appropriately, but 18 ounces to equal 1 choice. A box of cereal is 1 choice, and pancake mix is 1 choice. Phew. All right. Your protein and your dairy choices. I kind of talked about not everything is simple of 1 package is 1 choice. It's just not that straightforward. They're looking at the amount of protein and they're looking at the package size. So 18 ounces of peanut butter is 3 choices. 1 pound of dry beans, 2 choices. 1 pound of cottage cheese, 2 choices. 1 15-ounce can of meat is 2 choices, but 1 5-ounce can of meat is a half of a choice. So it gets a little crazy. Talking about the different cheeses, the pre-wrapped singles do not count. They're actually not really made with milk. They're made with oil. So it has to be processed cheese, not cheese food. Greek yogurt has a lot more protein than regular yogurt, so that's why it takes 2 Greek yogurts to equal a choice, while 4 regular yogurts to equal a choice. All this is well and good, but if you're to give me a 2-pound package of chicken breast, boneless, skinless chicken breast, versus a 2-pound package of chicken with bone, I'm going to get a lot more meat out of the chicken without the bone. So while technically giving the package with the bone counts the same as the boneless version, just please keep in mind the ultimate goal is people have to eat this. You're trying to feed them for 3 meals a day for 3 days per person. So a lot of it is just getting your head out of the paper and thinking about the end result of people actually eating this food. So we talked about the macaroni and cheese and the rice-a-roni stuff. Any questions yet? Okay. All right. Now we're going to take a look at it by family size, because again, they say it's not that everybody who comes to see you gets the same amount of food. You're doing it equitably per family size. And families come in all different sizes. Okay. But if you also notice, we have at least and aim for. At least is the bare minimum. You must hit the bare minimums. Ideally, you're aiming for that higher number. I guess, do you have questions on this? It's so quiet. Like, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, this
Yeah.
helps. All right. Okay, so moving on. Whoops. Again, they have to eat it at the food that you give out, they have to eat. Especially if you're not client choice and you're just assembling the package for them, it's really helpful if you're giving cereal to give them milk. If you're giving them pasta, give them sauce to go with it. You know, my son was laid off during COVID. He had to go to a food pantry and he got the craziest assortment of product. He's a very creative cook and was able to make things out of it. But not everybody is all that creative. And it was just a very random assortment of product. Sometimes your family is bigger than 6 people. What do you do at that point? If you're looking at that chart of family size 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, well, if you have family size of 9, you're going to give them from the column of 6 as well as the column of 3. You're going to add those 2 columns together. You know, I don't know about you, but families like to eat together. And when eating together, it helps to have the same food. So if you're giving a couple cans of this and a couple cans of that, it makes it harder to do for a large family to eat together. Again, something to keep in mind. Again, if that's all you have, you are technically meeting the requirements, but just try to keep in mind you are trying to feed the family, not just give them food, okay? How does client choice affect the packing guide? I'm going to ask if anybody wants to share their experiences, take themselves off of mute. What have you gone from pre-packed to client choice, and what have you found the experience to be? I can wait you out.
Okay, Carrie, this is
Hi,
Tyler.
Patricia.
Okay, we do partial choice, okay? And by that I mean we pack the canned goods and the grain, but then the choice comes in the fresh fruits and vegetables, the cereal and the bread. So that they have a choice of going down and saying, well, I want the wheat bread, I want this, or whatever, you know, or whichever cereal. But I do have a question. You only went for that with the cereals?
Yes.
We have some cereal that's now, the package sizes are different. It might be 18 ounces. And I still count that as one choice.
I would say 18 ounces, you could probably still count as one. If it's 20 ounces or more, you're going to start throwing in some fractions. And I'm a big believer in fractions because it does all add up.
Okay.
But again, you know, trying to feed the entire family, which isn't the same with a box of cereal. So you might, I mean, if you were, we do say a box of cereal minimum 12 ounces. So I guess you could say it was 1.5 choices.
But I had
If
just
you
counted
had
as
to.
one, because if I have a family, let's say, and maybe I'm not doing it, let's take a family of 4, and I'm giving them 2 boxes of cereal, and the cereal might be, it may be one, maybe they choose one that's a 12 and one that's an 18. So I'm still considering that 2 choices.
Perfect. And this brings us back to, and I didn't spend enough time on that, the minimums versus the aim for. Minimum is how much you have to. We would encourage you to aim for. If you are already providing more than the minimums, we are by no way asking you to cut down on the amount of food that you are giving out to people. As long as you can sustain in that, we would encourage you to give what you can because people need that food. So Patricia, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody else who wants to share their experience with client choice?
We're from the food pantry in Johnstown, and as far as I know, as long as I've been part of it, it has been client choice, which is
So you-
really, really impressive. And they actually, the way that they do it is they give people choices when they first come in for some of the frozen foods. They give them a list and say, you can choose 3 from this list or 6 from this list. And then they actually take them into the non-perishable area and walk them through and allow them to pick what it is that they want to take home.
And what are some of the feedback that you've gotten, whether from your guests or from your volunteers?
We have our director is here. Mary, I can see that you've unmuted. Why don't you speak about this?
The clients really like it. The fruits and vegetables that we get at the food bank, we get as much as we can and, give them their choice of fruits and vegetables to take home. Meats, sometimes we have to dictate that based on what we've been able to get from the food bank and at a reasonable cost. And so sometimes we do dictate that, but we always leave something to choice. And they always have the ability to say, I don't eat pork. Can I have something else? Yes, certainly we can, put something else in. And then as Mother Lori said, in the back, we have all kinds of canned vegetables. And depending on their family size, it's written right above the canned vegetables, how many cans you get per such and such a family. And they go through the whole back portion with fruits and vegetables, pastas, sauces, and then we have extra things that we try to provide, like baking goods, cake mixes and things like that. And people really love that. We definitely hit our minimum. People are allowed to come twice a month, each family. So each time we hit our HPNAP minimums, which is really what we look for, hitting the minimum, because they are coming twice a month.
Right.
And then they'll have some other goodies thrown in. As I said, condiments, we get things like condiments that everybody can choose one or two each time they come. The baking goods, we do have some snacks. So yeah, we find it's very popular. I've never heard a complaint about people not getting enough food or the right kind of food. And we also, of course, keep emergency packs ready to go if anybody comes in. But we are open Wednesdays and Saturdays. So really, people never have to go more than 3 days on that 3-day supply.
Thank you, Mary. A question did come in from Mother Lori of, are the HPNAP guidelines per visit or per month, since they visit you twice a month? And the answer to that would be, every time they come to visit you, as long as you were providing them with a full pantry package, you count them. Okay. Does anybody else want to share their experience with client choice? Maybe in terms of impacts of cost or time? A little nervous on that, but go ahead.
I think one of the things, I was just listening, and they must have a very large space to do that. And I think that's fabulous. We don't. So the choice, they don't wander through. We pre-package a bag, and our families tend to come every week. So I was just wondering, based on the question that was asked, I think that we're meeting, because it's like every week there may be the same families, and we are trying to give them according to the HPNAP. So I'm thinking I'm correct in that.
Yes, Patricia. It's up to each food pantry to determine how often they will serve an individual. Some are, every week like you, Patricia, some twice a month like you, Mary, many once a month. And as long as you are offering them that amount of food, you count them. Notice I said offer and not take, and we'll get into that a little bit more.
I'd like to add clarity on that. Excuse me. This
Yeah.
is Mary from Johnstown again. And you're saying you count them. Now, my understanding is we have to provide the 3 days supply once a month. Is that correct?
That is the minimum.
Exactly. Yes, I understand.
Yes.
I realize that.
Yes.
But
However, every time you are offering that full pantry package to them, you are able to count them in your monthly statistics.
Okay,
So in your case,
that's kind
if
of, that
I
was a little
come,
confusing.
yep, if I come to you with 4 kids, 3 times a month and you serve me 3 times a month, all 5 of us, you will include us in your monthly statistics 3 times.
Yes, I do, right.
Thank you.
And to Patricia's message about the about having a lot of space. We don't have a lot of space, but we make a lot of trips to the food bank. We go every Tuesday, and then we have the delivery every other Friday. We go to other places where we can get food, Catholic Charities, and have some other people that work in Albany every now and then stop at the food bank for us to pick up fresh fruit and vegetables. So it's a lot of work, but this is how we're handling it right now with a lack of space.
Okay,
Thank
it sounded like you had a
Hi.
lot of space. I'm
Hi,
sorry.
this is Dina from Sacred Heart Food Pantry. I actually have a question, I guess, for Mary and everybody else that does client choice. So we have to meet, I just want to get clarification. We have to meet the minimum standard for HPNAP. But if people are coming in and they're choosing, what if they're not choosing the amount that should be supplied? Like
We
they're not
can't
taking
help, we
so
can't
that
help
they're not-
that. We
But
offer,
that's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is then is that being counted that you're meeting the qualification for NP and NAP?
Dina, as long
Yeah.
as you are offering that full pantry
Uh-huh.
package,
Okay.
you can count them. If they choose not to take it, that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
But
That's
as
what
long
that,
as you are offering it, yes.
as long as you're offering it. Okay. That's
Correct.
what I was, we do prepackaged, but I was wondering if we did switch, how that would work. Okay,
Mhm.
great. Thank
You know,
you.
in terms of client choice, a lot of people have found that it saves them quite a bit of money, because instead of like buying a bunch of the, let's say the beets, the canned beets, and then finding them in the bushes outside your front door, you learn what people want, and you're spending money on what they're going to want instead of what they don't want. So it can be a cost savings as well. Many people have found that it's a time saving as well. You're using your volunteers' time differently. It still takes a lot of time, but you're just doing it differently. But how does the client choice affect the packing guide? So, like we just said, the big question is, as long as it's being offered, it counts. There are different types of client choice. Before the pandemic, a lot of food pantries had transitioned to some type of client choice, whether the entire food pantry or, as Patricia said, just portions of it. The pandemic hit, many food pantries reverted back to pre-packed, and a lot of them are very hesitant to get past that. But we really would encourage more client choice of whatever type is possible. But again, different types. There is the walkthrough. If you have a lot of space, okay, you have food set up on tables, for example, and people just walk through and choose. Now, is client choice a free for all? Oh, no, it is not. There are restrictions. If you have limits, you have those limits posted. Some pantries have a volunteer that walks through with the guest through the entire thing from beginning to end. Some pantries have a volunteer at each station along the way, but there are limits. It's not you put the food out and they take whatever they want. By family size, they can have up to this many. A supermarket client choice is another option, but that's where they actually walk through with the grocery cart. That takes a lot of space. But again, you can allow them to look at the product directly, or you can have a volunteer walk through the entire thing with them, or have volunteers set up throughout. The window, somebody once told me they used the point method of client choice, and I didn't really know what that was. That means that they have a window or a Dutch door where somebody looks through and points at the items that they want. But again, that's a version of client choice. You're allowing them to make choices, as is an inventory list, whether it's something that is sent to them ahead of time, whether it's done electronically, whether it's a piece of paper that they do on site or you have things hanging. Allowing them to make some choice really helps them in the end. It also can help your bottom line as well if you're able to pull that off. And we are more than happy to work with you to make those changes if that's something that you want to talk about. Like I said, it is not a free-for-all. There are different ways that you can post things. So here I have it written out as one choice is equal to, because remember the main chart said this package size equals this number of choices. This is kind of doing the opposite of one choice is the same as whatever. For example, on the proteins, one choice is a half a pound of dried beans. Or you could look at, you guys can all still see the screen, right? I have things popping up on my end. I don't know what's going on.
Yes.
Or you can, okay, you can look at it this way. Again, broken down by category, with a package size and the number of choices to offer based on the family size, whether it be proteins, grains, or fruits and vegetables. Benefits of client choice. So I know Mary and Patricia, you guys kind of touched on that. Is there anybody else who wants to talk about the benefits of client choice? Mac, I think you were trying to talk for a little bit. So if I'm coming to you if I'm coming to you and I've never had to been to a food pantry perhaps, or if I'm coming to you and you're offering me 3 days worth of food for an entire month and saying, come back and see me next month. I want to make sure that whatever I take, my family knows what it is. My family will eat it. I don't have the luxury of taking foods that I may not like because I will be hungry. And the whole purpose is so that people are not going hungry. Benefits of client choice can be, like I said, a cost savings, possibly a time savings or a different investment of time. But also, as we talked about, you have to offer the food. They don't have to take it. You might honestly find that you are going through less food when you're utilizing client choice than if you're using a pre-packed bag or box. All right, I have some questions for you. So we kind of went through the different food groups. If I were to tell you bacon, how would you count bacon? And please unmute yourselves or chat box, whichever is easier. Jean said reduced food waste for client choice. Absolutely. And Deb will get to your question in a minute. Bacon, does bacon count?
No.
Correct. Bacon does not count. That's just a fat.
For us, it's just an extra perk that, you know,
Yes.
if we can get it, we'll
You
give
know,
it out.
we didn't talk about extras. We will. Hot dogs. Do hot dogs count?
No.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, they do. HPNAP realized too late they forgot to exclude them. So they're, again, like instant potatoes, they're not ideal, but yes, they do count. They count the same as any other protein, where 1 pound of hot dogs is 4 choices. How about cranberry sauce? Canned cranberry sauce, 'tis the season.
Nope.
Nope, too much sugar. It is not, it's not all fruit. How about Hot Pockets? Actually, let's hold off on the Hot Pockets. We'll come back. We'll circle back to that after. Jelly, does jelly or jam count?
No.
No.
Nope, just like the cranberry sauce. Does ketchup and mayonnaise count?
No.
Anybody remember in the 80s where Nancy Reagan made ketchup made it a vegetable for the school meals? No, it doesn't count. I swear. It does not count.
Can I ask a quick question?
Please.
We sometimes get Kentucky Fried Chicken leftovers, which is
Yes.
just hard for me to imagine. But it's food.
Mhm.
Where's that gonna fit in? Like, because it's so high in fat and salt. Does it still count as it's like often like the popcorn chicken or something like that?
It still counts. Same as the chicken with the bone would count. The chicken
Okay.
with the breading would count.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. And Deb, here's your question. Does soup count towards a food pantry package? The answer to that is no. A lot of people would say vegetable soup counts as a vegetable, but in order to be a vegetable, it's going to be like almost all vegetables, and vegetable soup is not. Does it count as a protein? No, it does not have enough protein to count as a protein either. Yes, so it does count as an extra. You and I may choose to eat soup as a meal, but HPNAP is saying it does not count. What's really confusing, Patricia, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but I've been noticing that that is offered in inventory and is paid for by HPNAP.
Well, yes. So as
I mean,
said,
I
it's
don't
very,
give it as a meal, but I put it out in case it's like an extra. But I'm just wondering, I kept saying, well, why would they pay for this if we can't use it?
as
That's
I
my-
mentioned in the very beginning, HPNAP is very, very, very confusing. So let me say that, well, one, HPNAP has one set of regulations for our purchased food and a different set of criteria for the donated food. So of course, the purchased food where we have more control has stricter guidelines that we have to follow in order to make something HPNAP eligible.
I thought
HPNAP,
this,
however, will pay for 5 pounds of sugar. They'll pay for a bottle of salt. They will pay for ketchup and mayonnaise, jelly, salad dressing. These things do not count towards a food pantry package. And in addition, we have to then restrict the sodium and the sugar in terms of what they will pay for. So let's try this. I have a can of low sodium green beans, HPNAP, that we purchased. HPNAP will pay for the low sodium, 140 milligrams or less of sodium per serving. That same can of green beans that does not meet that sodium requirement that's purchased, HPNAP will not pay for it, but it will still count towards the food pantry package.
Okay.
Yet the donated, I had that same can of full sodium green beans. HPNAP will pay for it because it's donated and it's still counting towards a food pantry package. How
I
are we
have a
doing
que-
with this?
I have a
Yes.
quick question about the soups and stews. It was my
Yes.
understanding if they were over 6 ounces of protein per can, they would be counted as a protein.
It's if it's more than 7 grams of protein per serving, and we're going to get to that.
That's what I meant, grams. Yes,
Yeah, and it's 7 grams per serving. Yeah.
right.
So HPNAP's guidelines, it's very confusing because they will pay for a lot of items that they will not count or consider as part of the food pantry package. Conversely, there are many foods that they will not pay for that do count towards a food pantry package. They are just trying to make recommendations based on the purchased versus the donated items. However, they would pay for purchased cheese-filled kielbasa, but they would not pay for a can of beans unless they are low sodium purchased. Yeah. So both Alex and I are a resource to help you try to navigate through any of that, but know that we have it marked in our inventory in terms of what is eligible to be paid for with HPNAP. But this workshop is focusing on what counts towards a food pantry package, regardless of how it's paid for. Okay, whoops, I made it. I was trying to move it. All right. How about cream cheese, sour cream, coffee creamer, those types of dairy products that you see in the dairy in our inventory? Do they count towards a food pantry package?
No.
Correct, they do not. What about guacamole?
Well, that's questionable because I've seen that, but I don't know whether I would consider that a vegetable.
Technically, it's a fruit, but yes.
Well, okay, a
Yeah.
fruit or vegetable, but would that depend on the weight of it? How big the
Yeah,
pack?
if you have about a 15, 16 ounce package of guacamole, you can count it as one choice.
Okay,
Now,
so
are we-
Karen, let's go back then. I'm sorry.
Please, I want this to make sense.
Okay, I got that. But let's suppose then I have the avocado itself, the real
Yes.
thing. Am I to weigh that? Because you do have the pit, and I'm trying to figure out in terms of how much we should be giving. How
Right, and
many?
that's one where we would say 4 avocados equals one choice.
Okay, 4 avocados. Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Yes, you're welcome. Would salsa count? The answer to that is no. No, salsa does not count. Salsa is eaten like a condiment, where a lot of times guacamole is eaten as a condiment, but you do eat a good amount of guacamole. You put it on your sandwiches, etc. I can slide that one through. Salsa is, in my mind, strictly a condiment, so it would not count as a vegetable. But something else that HPNAP pays for is crackers. Do crackers count towards a food pantry package?
No, I didn't think so.
But can't you put peanut butter and jelly on crackers?
But how much would you have to eat for it to equal like a loaf of bread? I don't know.
So, right,
How much-
so crackers do not count towards a food pantry package. HPNAP will pay for crackers. They will not consider them part of the food pantry package. HPNAP, again, is funding for 3 meals a day for 3 days. They're not funding for snacks, and they view crackers simply as a snack, whereas the salsa could be used to be incorporated into a meal, I guess.
Okay.
Please know these are not my ideas. I'm just trying to help explain them. All right. So what about all these foods that actually don't fit into the HPNAP food categories? Do you still offer them?
Yes,
Yeah.
So
yes.
Sandy, what are some of the benefits of offering these extra foods?
That they have a choice and they can do things with them, with the different things, and be making their meals a little more appetizing with them.
Right. Tuna fish tastes much better with the mayonnaise,
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
example. You're more likely to eat the salad if you have the dressing on top.
Right.
So there are benefits to these foods that HPNAP pays for that don't count towards a food pantry package. And even if HPNAP doesn't pay for them, there are still benefits to these extras. So not everything has to fit neatly into the food pantry package, but just know it doesn't count towards the food pantry package.
And it
All
makes
right.
a good choice item also.
It does. It does. Okay, so your friendly food bank monitors come visit you at least every 2 years. So usually about every 1.5 to 2 years. In the lower Hudson Valley, Michael handles Sullivan, Ulster, Dutchess, Rockland, Putnam, and Orange. Everything north of that, Jessica and Catherine take care of. When they come to visit you, when they're setting up the visit, they will send you a self-assessment form that you need to complete and hand to them on their site visit. HPNAP needs this in your file as proof that you are meeting HPNAP guidelines. So while there's a whole range of family sizes, HPNAP feels that at a family size of 4 is when things really start to fall apart. So you will have to fill out this form every 1.5 to 2 years, telling Alex now, what are you offering for a family of 4? When you fill it out, if you are client choice, please don't say choice of this. You need to pretend you are the head of household for that family. What exactly would you leave with on that your next pantry day, knowing what you have in inventory and knowing what your limits are? So if you're writing eggs as available, they will not be counted because we're looking for what you have in inventory that day. It's a snapshot in time. It varies, but we're looking for that snapshot for that day. So you're going to fill out, for example, canned green beans, package size 15 ounces, quantity given 2. And that's how you fill out this form. Questions on that? Okay. All right. We are going to be brave. We are going to be trying to put you into breakout rooms. In a couple minutes, Alex is going to put you into a breakout room. Together, you're going to take a look at this picture. When this is where you need to have your pen and paper handy. You are going to try to identify how many choices of fruits and vegetables, how many choices of proteins, how many choices of grains are in this picture. Does it meet a food pantry package for a family of 3, 4, 5? Okay. You'll see that each item in the picture has a caption to let you know what it is and what size it is. Let's see. There is in a breakout room, there is a little question box to ask for help from a host. In our practice sessions, we found that asking for help takes away the picture. So if you ask for help, we're not coming to your rescue. So if you have a question, please move on, make note of the question, and we'll talk about it when we all come back. Okay. With that said, any questions? And what your assignment is?
Yes, I have a question. Maybe I missed.
Okay.
But are we making this for each family size or just a family of 4 or?
No, you are actually evaluating this package. So you're just simply counting up how many vegetables and fruits, how many choices of vegetables and fruits, counting up how many choices of proteins, how many choices of grains. If you finish with that, you can then decide, do you think it's enough for what size family?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Is there a way to put the link up?
I'm going to share the picture when you're in the breakout room. Oh, I can only share
No,
one
the link-
picture.
Right, and I'm thinking the link to like
The guide.
The guide, yeah.
The link that is in the chat box. It has a link to everything, and that's one of the things linked on that handout.
Okay.
But you would need 2 screens. If you can't figure out how many it is, don't worry, we'll come back to that. Right now, I'm more worried about, can you correctly count the number of choices? And I think we're going to give you 10 minutes, which will leave us time to talk about it when we all come back together.
Right.
Any
I'm gonna
last
open up
minute-
the rooms now. Oh, sorry, Carrie, go on.
I was just gonna say, any last minute questions before Alex sends you away? Okay.
All right,
Good luck.
just an FYI, everyone. It might prompt you to join. You have to press a button to join the break room. I'm not sure if it's set up automatically, but just in case, it might pop up and say join break room. Just hit OK, and it will send you right in.
Thank you. Hi, is everybody back?
Yep.
Yes.
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 So wonderful. Alex is going to pop the link to all the handouts in the chat again, just in case you joined late and don't have access to them. But what'd you think of that? How'd you do?
It's not intuitive.
I don't know. I guess we'll see.
It's fun. It was actually kind of fun to do, to go back to the chart. It was actually sort of fun.
Oh, good.
I've lost my,
Plus you're what?
Whoops.
Lost the picture, I think.
I
at
had
the
lost
end.
my picture for a minute there.
Yeah.
All right. So who wants to be brave and say, how many choices of vegetables and fruits do you think we had?
You go first if anybody want to.
I'm gonna say 15.
And what do others say?
And we say 14.
We said 14.
I think we got 17.
Any other answers?
I got 17 as well.
This was of just
What-
number of
what-
choices.
Number of choices. Yeah.
I had like 26. Oh,
Is this just fruits and vegetables right now?
Just fruits and vegetables, correct.
oh,
wait,
never
I-
mind then. Yeah,
I
that
didn't
was
get that part.
everything.
We got 7 instead of 17.
5, 6.
How about if I told you the number that I got?
No,
And my
wait.
number,
Oh,
no,
what is it? 10, we got 10.
Okay. 5, 7, 11 is my guess. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 14.
Of fruits and vegetables?
Let's say
of fruits and vegetables. I'm going to say with confidence, there are 16 choices of fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
We were
Yes.
close.
So how did I come up with that? By looking at the fruits and vegetables included here. This package of strawberries, it's 2 pounds. So that was 2 choices of fruits and vegetables.
Okay, we got that right.
Okay.
The instant
Strawberry,
potatoes
two
on the
choices.
end is a 13.7 ounce box. So that was 1 choice.
Right.
The frozen spinach, we said it's a 2 pound package. So that is 2 choices.
Right.
The tomato puree, 28 ounces. What do you do with that?
Well, isn't it close to 30?
Yeah.
Well, and my answer, Patricia, is that yes, it is close to 30. So I count that as 2 choices.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
that's what I did.
Okay.
Okay.
And the spaghetti sauce, again, I'm going with, that's pretty close. And I'm going to count that as 2 choices.
She's counting it, the spaghetti sauce.
As a vet, yep. How about the apples? How'd you count that 5 pound bag of apples?
We didn't
5.
see it.
As
We
a
didn't-
5.
Correct.
Five
That is,
choices.
that's 5 choices.
We didn't see it.
1 can of crushed pineapple, 15-ounce can of pineapple,
1.
1,
and 1 can of yams.
1.
1.
1.
Correct. 16 choices, vegetables and fruits. What did you get? How many choices of proteins did you come up with?
We got 14.
We had 14.
14 was a gallon, that was 4. 5.
Proteins except the
That's
beans.
10.
Where are they coming up with 14? Oh, the milk.
The 14.
Before.
14.
We got 13.
Beans would be 2.
So I have 13 choices of vegetables and fruits. And I got that. So we have 32 ounces of Greek yogurt.
Right.
Remember we said it takes 2 packages of yogurt to equal 1 of Greek yogurt to
Oh,
equal
there's
1
cheese there,
choice.
too.
So
You
for
said
8
fruits and
ounces of Greek
vegetables.
yogurt,
You
so
meant
32 ounces of Greek yogurt is going to be 4 choices is the best way to say that.
Oh,
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 okay.
it said 6
Okay.
ounces of yogurt is
Okay.
1 choice. Oh, 6 ounces each.
Oh, yeah, I got it as 5. So
Right. And that's because it's Greek yogurt. If it was regular yogurt, there would be 2 choices.
okay.
We have a dozen eggs, which is how many choices?
2.
2,
We have a gallon of milk, which is how many choices?
4.
4,
We have 2 cans of tuna fish, which is how many choices?
1.
1,
And we have 2 cans of kidney beans, which is how many choices?
2.
2.
2. And again, I chose to put it in the proteins. I could have put it into the fruits and vegetables, but I chose to consider it a protein. Okay. How many choices of grains did you come up with?
5.
5.
5.
All right, let's round that out. We have 5. Absolutely. So we have 1 pound of pasta, 1 pound of spaghetti, a 32-ounce box of pancake mix, as well as 2 boxes of cereal. Did we have any extras shown in the picture?
Butter.
Syrup and
And
butter.
Syrup.
And syrup,
Butter,
yeah.
correct, correct. And don't you find that they really go well with that food pantry package?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
if you have the ability to offer them, they are really a great benefit. Do you
Yeah.
think this met the needs of a food pantry package for a family of 3, 4, or 5?
16.
I think 3, but it could still, there's probably
It
a
could be
little too
4.
much in some things.
No, you could have 4.
4 is fine.
Marcia, yeah, Marcia, we're going with a family of 4, correct. And that's because grains, we only had 5 choices of grains, which is the minimum for a family of 4.
Mhm.
So we could not push it any further to a larger family. All right, did you find that helpful at all?
Yes.
Yes, very
Okay.
helpful.
All right. Let's talk about the different types of inventory that we have. We have USDA, which is the free commodity product from the government with all the lovely paperwork and requirements that you have to do. But it is staple versatile foods. It's free for food pantries, soup kitchens, emergency shelters. You get a monthly allocation based on your service levels, and that case limit is per item. Okay. When looking at our inventory, if you're looking at the static PDF that we post Monday, Tuesday, and Friday mornings, it's the last page or pages of our inventory. If you're looking on PWW, you have to search in PWW. You can search for USDA, you can search for free foods, but that's where it's going to show up. Excuse me, questions on the USDA product?
No.
One question, so that
Yes.
if different people look at, if I look at it versus someone else and we have different levels of our agency size, we'll see different limits that we'll be able to shop.
Absolutely.
Oh,
So
cool. So
when
it
you're
does it by
looking,
my,
when you're looking at PWW and it shows you that there are 6 cases of canned green beans, USDA, that doesn't mean that's all that we have in inventory. That means that's all that you could order. You're not wiping us out by taking it.
oh, okay, got it. Thank you.
That was the question I was gonna ask you. It always says 10, and I always think,
Yes.
oh, there's only 10, I'll never get it. That's 10
Nope.
just for me.
10 just for you, correct.
Oh.
So I
Whenever
have-
whenever we have a limit applied, whether it be Nourish New York or whether it be USDA,
Yes.
you
Nourish
can
New
just
York
see
is
the
10.
maximum amount for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
So I have a question
Yes.
personally related to my agency.
Mhm.
It's been showing the last couple weeks that I can get 1 case of milk.
Okay.
Why would that be when I have pretty high numbers?
I'm going with it's Nourish New York milk and not USDA. Our
Okay.
USDA milk would not have limits on it, nor would the produce, USDA produce,
Okay.
because it's so highly perishable. We just need to move that. I'm taking guesses here, Mary. I
Who
can
would
try
I
to look
who would I
into that
call
after.
who would I call to establish that?
You can call me on Monday.
Okay.
Monday
Hey,
afternoon.
I had,
Yes.
Carrie, there was no milk on last Wednesday when we picked up, and there's no milk again this week. So I don't know what's
Right.
going on with the milk. Yeah, something's going on.
Yeah, we kind of walk a fine line of relying on donated product. Nature of donations is we're at the mercy of the donors. And with limited space, we don't always purchase the milk. So most often it's donated because it's often donated and then sometimes it's not, leaving us in the lurch with no milk. We also often get milk from USDA. But then sometimes we don't.
Okay, I understand.
My non-answer, thank you. Any other questions on USDA? We also have our donated inventory.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Patricia, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just don't know. This is something that we had talked about in terms of that form that we had to fill out.
Yes.
And maybe this is not the place to talk about that. I'm just wondering, and does anyone else have maybe a dilemma that I'm creating for myself in terms of who they give that USDA food to? I'm just wondering how they distribute that.
So basically, the crux of her question is, in order to distribute this USDA TFAP food, people have to sign from a food pantry the TFAP self-attestation once every 12 months. Technically, if they do not sign that form, technically you're not supposed to give that food to them. So she's asking how other people are handling that.
I haven't had anyone that's not willing to sign it.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
then
don't either.
Okay, then I was confused then because I thought that I had to look at their income bracket as opposed to them signing, because everyone has signed it. But then I thought that, okay, I have to look at incomes. And that's where I was having a dilemma because I didn't think that was fair.
Right, the incomes come into play if they do not receive SNAP or WIC or some other government program. Then they have to say, yes, I do meet these income requirements. And if they choose to sign off, even if they don't, that's fine. That's up to them. You are not allowed to actually check their income to
Thank you.
verify.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all right.
And what about if they fully attest that they make too much to get TFAP? Is it up to us to say, okay, then I'm not giving you food, or what?
Technically, that is what you are supposed to do. Technically.
Is it up to us to review the forms they sign? Or are we just supposed to keep them on file?
What about the computer?
Yeah, that's actually, it's a gray area we haven't looked at, Mary. That's a really good question. That's a very good question that we can take offline next week when you call.
Okay, fine.
Okay. All right. So in addition to USDA, we have donated product. Donated traditionally was the entire case of product that was donated to us. Never hit grocery store shelves. We just, for one reason or another, we're getting entire cases of the product, whether it be food or non-food. We do charge 16 cents a pound for it when you order it. But that's to help keep our lights on, help pay for the transportation to get the product to you, to move it around. And at the end of the year, for the past 10 years or so, when we've had a surplus of funding, our board of directors has voted to return a portion of that funding to you in the form of what's now called a gratitude grant. And that's based on the number of pounds that you order. So we're not trying to make money off of you. We're just paying our bills and then returning what we can to you from a donated. We've recently changed our product category names because I couldn't stand salvage, so I pushed. So salvage is now called assorted donated. Okay. But this is more of your individual donations of items that come from, whether it come from grocery store shelves, or whether it come from Girl Scouts, or whether it come from, like, my niece having instead of having gifts at her party, she collects food to donate. So these are the individual types of donations. Again, they're 16 cents a pound. These are the ones that you might find that tend to be a little bit more dented. And food safety discusses dents, whether they're safe or not safe. We do evaluate all of our assorted donated products. We're looking for dates. How far past the date is it good and safe for? Again, that's a food safety workshop question. Food does not go bad at the date packet or marked on that package. And food does not expire. Expiration is a poor term and not used so much anymore. Again, 16 cents a pound. However, our volunteers are human. You might sometimes get things that are too dented to use, in which case, if it's significant quantity, you let us know. But anyway, that's what our assorted donated is. Our purchased inventory was called co-op. And we're ordering the food for you to order so that when you're already shopping with us, the convenience of shopping with us and using your grant funds, and you need to make sure you have peanut butter or tuna fish, for example, we have an inventory for you. because like we said, the nature of donations, there is no guarantee we have it donated. Okay. Is it cheaper at your local grocery store? It might be sometimes. By all means, you can shop elsewhere. It's just, this is where you could use your HPNAP funding or other lines of credit at the food bank. We also have Shop the Dock. So you can come shop the dock, whether in Latham or in Orange County. Again, we have a new warehouse being built down there. We hope to be open by, let's say, June or July of 2024. But produce will always be free, and bread for emergency feeding programs is always free, but no appointments needed to shop the dock. Those are different types of inventory. We also sometimes have HPNAP produce. So HPNAP puts restrictions, I shouldn't say restrictions, strings attached. That's probably not the right terminology either. When you receive HPNAP funding, there are certain things that you must do in order to meet their criteria and continue to receive funding. We also have things that we have to do. One of the things we have to do is spend a certain percentage of the funding on purchased produce, not just produce that we're getting donated to us, purchased produce. However, they want that purchased produce to be New York State grown when possible. We have a fairly short growing season, so you may not see this again until next summer in inventory, but you will see HPNAP produce on occasion. It is listed, if you're looking at the static PDF, it's listed in the co-op inventory right before USDA. And if you're looking on PWW, you have to search for purchased and then produce, or just enter HPNAP into the search bar. What you need to know is that it shows a cost associated with this produce. As a food pantry or a soup kitchen that receives HPNAP, there is no cost to you. It is free to you. It's coming from a separate pooled grant. It does not impact your HPNAP award at all. So if we have HPNAP produce in inventory, it does tend to be hardier for the most part, and longer lasting. And you can order as much of it as you think that you can safely, responsibly use. Questions on HPNAP produce or finding HPNAP produce or understanding how it's paid for? And the reason that there is a cost shown with it is because there are agencies who may not receive HPNAP, but still want to purchase and order that produce. Okay. So when looking at our inventory, how do you know if HPNAP pays for it? So if you're looking at that static PDF, again, posted Monday, Tuesday, Friday mornings, we're down to maybe 20% of our agencies order using this inventoried order. Most people do use PWW. But still, if you're looking at it this way, that middle column will show you an asterisk if it is covered by HPNAP funding. So looking at this snapshot of the inventory, the Healthy Choice, the Buddha Power Balls are covered. You know, the frozen meals are covered. What is not covered is desserts. If you're looking at our online PWW inventory, you are looking at an up-to-date, to-the-minute inventory of what we have available. Again, any limits shown means those are just the limits shown for you. That's for items that have limits. In this case, you're going to take a look towards the right. You see the state grant column. State grant is HPNAP. If it says yes in the state grant column, that means HPNAP will pay for that item. If it says yes in the grant column, that means another grant, if you have one, would pay for it, like an adopter program or a Wake Fern or something along those lines. So in this case, obviously HPNAP is not paying for those household items of liquid starch or household ammonia, but it is paying for sausage or fish patties or stuffing mix or spaghetti. So let me sidetrack for a minute because we have fish patties VAP item. Do you guys know what VAP is? VAP stands for value added product. You're going to find it under donated. So when we get large amounts of product that's packaged in a way that a food pantry can't use because it's bulk packaging and food pantries can't get that bulk packaging, we sometimes pay a vendor to process it into and prepare it and turn it into family size packaging. We incur a cost when we do that, and we have to pass that cost along, and that's the VAP, the value added program. So you're going to see, although these fish patties are donated, they are not 16 cents a pound. If you did the math, they're going to come to more than 16 cents a pound. They're 41 cents a pound. So questions on this slide? Okay. So as we said before, if HPNAP pays for it, does that mean that it counts towards a food pantry package? The answer to that is no, it doesn't. What about USDA foods? Does USDA foods count towards a food pantry package? Well, it kind of depends what it is, actually. So some do and some don't. For the most part, if you are trying to order the healthier items for your guests, knowing that it's a purchased item, and if it's a purchased fruit and vegetable or fruit or vegetable, yeah, then it's meeting certain sodium or sugar requirements. USDA, for the most part, packages their canned vegetables low sodium and packages their fruits unsweetened. And when I say unsweetened, I mean in juice or in water. They're not packed in a heavy syrup, a light syrup, and they are not packed in with a artificial sugar sweetener. You find that now in the grocery stores where they have canned fruit, no sugar added. And oftentimes that has the artificial sweetener. So we're talking unsweetened. Right now, I will say our canned USDA mixed vegetables are not low sodium, but that is a rarity. Most times things are low sodium. But vegetable oil, USDA vegetable oil, for example, or cranberry sauce, it does not count towards a food pantry package. I have some other questions for you. So I'm going to tell you some foods, and hey, guess what? We've covered a lot of them already. Are they covered by HPNAP? And which food group do they count towards? Okay. So if I were to tell you soup, is soup covered by HPNAP?
No. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
HPNAP will cover purchased soup and will cover donated soup. Does it count towards a food pantry package?
No.
No, but that's because it's a soup.
Right, but HPNAP will pay for it. It just doesn't count as anything. It would be considered an extra.
Right.
How about the American cheese pre-wrapped singles? Do they count towards a food pantry package? No.
No.
Will HPNAP pay for them? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. How about we talked canned beans, the difference of purchased and donated, so I won't bring them up yet again. What about chocolate milk? Does that count towards a food pantry package?
I don't think it counts. I want to say yes.
Yeah.
It does count towards a food pantry package.
Oh, it does.
Yes. Will HPNAP pay for it though? And that depends. HPNAP will not pay for chocolate milk that's purchased, but it will pay for donated chocolate milk.
What?
If it's donated, you don't have to pay for it.
Well, if it's donated, and I'm talking whether it's shelf stable or liquid. You're right. In general, our cold milk, refrigerated milk is in general no charge. Our purchased chocolate milk will not be paid for with HPNAP, but regardless of how you receive that chocolate milk, it will count towards a food pantry package. Jellies. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Carrie, I just have a question because if the goal is to give people nutritious meals and I would love to have chocolate milk, but I don't order it because I'm thinking, okay, I really want people to be healthy. But then we also can get the shelf stable 1%, which a lot of my neighbors do not like. They love the 2%, but, or the whole, but they didn't like the 1%. So I guess the thing is, where are we going in terms? I was happy to see they brought in low sodium products, because if we're really trying to get people to kind of move, feed them, but also give them healthy foods, why would they put chocolate? I mean, I love chocolate, but it's not something that I would.
So you know, when Patricia, when my kids were little, I tried to do everything right, but they didn't really like to drink their milk. So I allowed the first glass of milk to be chocolate milk. If they wanted a second glass of milk, it had to be white.
Okay.
So there is room in the diet for any type of food. So we have to be careful, I guess, not to pass too much judgment on what people are eating. But there is room in the diet for chocolate milk, but it just can't be everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
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 I would love to order chocolate milk, and I kept thinking, well, I don't know if I should because I wasn't sure whether it was really healthy. So, okay.
You know, everything in moderation, right?
Except for dark chocolate.
Then you need lots of it.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so where else do you guys get your food from? You don't get everything from the food bank.
Hey, Carrie, can I
Yes.
ask one question before we move off? Because I still got a block in my brain here for this HPNAP. HPNAP will pay for, say, frozen cherries, the 2-pound bags of cherries.
Yes.
Why wouldn't that count as the pantry bag for the pantry package?
It absolutely would.
It would. Okay, so it's only some HPNAP foods don't count, but not all HPNAP foods.
Correct. It's more like the condiments and the soups.
Yes.
That don't count.
Now I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anybody else who is still struggling with all of that? Okay. So you don't get 100% of your food from the food bank. Where else do you get it from? And what type of foods are you getting?
We have a couple of retail partners where we get breads and desserts and produce and things like that.
And do you count those? Go ahead.
I'm not able to get bread frequently enough from the food bank, so I wind up stopping at Walmart the night before and picking up usually 20 loaves of bread.
We get our bread from Bimbo over there. We get a lot of bread. So we land out sharing it with like the VA or some other places.
That's great.
So where's
and ours donated from Panera and Hannaford.
That's great. So if you guys are getting food from outside the food bank, do you count it towards a food pantry package?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you do. I've had some people think that you don't, that you only count what you get from the food bank. So regardless of where you get it from and how it is paid for, it will count towards a food pantry package. I mean, of course, depending what it is, but
yes. Remember they used to have an outlet, a bread outlet, Fried Walker's outlet down on Route 9. That's it, actually Bimbo Bakery is the company name. They do Arnold bread. Yeah. Sarah Lee. No. Yeah, they are. Oh, that's where we get our bread. That's where Tessa gets the bread that she breaks for us.
So this slide here is one of the ones that's included in your links.
Warehouses.
It starts out with the chart up top.
You know, bread from.
But it also says what doesn't count, or maybe it counts, but it's not on the chart because we ran out of room in that chart, right? So if you look at it, so it's a list of some foods that don't count at all, such as any type of jelly or soup. So when we're talking milk alternatives, soy milk counts. It has enough protein. What does not count is any other milk alternative, whether it be oat milk, almond milk, hemp, rice. Those types of milk alternatives do not count towards a food pantry package. Doesn't make them
almond is one of the bigger ones that we land out getting that people ask for. So there's a different kind. Soy milk? I don't know.
Soy milk is the only one that they will count. It doesn't make almond milk less appealing to people. Just like soup, it doesn't meet their criteria for protein.
Okay.
There are some foods that count, but I couldn't fit it, we couldn't fit in the chart. Stuffing mix, again, 'tis the season, right? A 13-ounce box of stuffing mix is one choice of grain. So if you have the smaller ones, it'll take 2 packages to equal 1 grain. Corned beef hash, again, not ideal, but people do eat it. 1 can is 1 choice of protein. And there's that soy milk that we were just talking about. So I kind of thought that handout was a little bit helpful. So far, we've been talking about foods that are packaged as is and just a single type of food. What about mixed foods? How do they count? So you have to be a label detective. You have to look at the nutrition facts label on the packaging. Specifically, you're looking at serving size first, and then you're looking at how much protein is in that package of food. In order to count as 1 choice of protein, there must be at least 4 servings. And each serving has to have at least 7 grams of protein per serving to count as 1 choice of protein. There are times it might take multiple packages to equal 1 choice, such as the tuna fish. It takes 2 cans of tuna fish to equal 1 choice of protein. How you doing with this math?
Can I just ask you to repeat that about the serving size?
Yeah, I'm going to say the whole thing. Yep. First, you look at the serving size and then how many servings are in that package. In order for that to count as a 1 choice, you're going to have at least 4 servings. But each serving has to have at least 7 grams of protein per serving. It might take multiple packages to equal 1 choice. For example, 2 cans of tuna fish to equal 1 choice of protein. So for example, here we have a can of soup. All right. If you look at the nutrition facts label, 1 serving size is 1 cup. There are 2 servings in that container. 1 serving has 6 grams of protein. Does that meet the criteria for protein?
No.
No. If you eat the entire can, you're getting 12 grams of protein. But that's for 2 servings. You're still only at 6 grams of protein per serving. There's no way to force this can into that protein requirement. We could take a look at this lasagna. Family size. Well, they say party size. Okay. Each serving is 1 cup. There are 12 servings in this container. Each serving has 13 grams of protein. Does that meet the protein requirements to be considered?
Yes.
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 Okay. So then the question is, it takes 4 servings to equal 1 choice. How many choices is this party size package of lasagna?
3.
3.
Correct. Correct. Okay. Now I'm going to show you some pictures with nutrition facts labels. I couldn't put you into small groups and have I've got a number of pictures. We couldn't do that, so we're staying together as one big group, but I want everybody to try to answer. Okay. I'm going to be quiet. I want to know, does it count as a protein? And if so, how many choices?
Yes, and one.
Yes, and one.
Yes, and one.
Yes,
and one.
Yes,
Yeah.
and one.
Yes. Perfect. So we looked at the serving size, which is a quarter of the pizza. There are 4 servings in this one package. Each serving has 12 grams of protein, more than the 7 required. So yes, this counts as one choice. What if this frozen pizza said it's 3 servings? Would that count?
No. No.
It would count as 3/4 of a choice.
That and 1 can of tuna.
Exactly. What if I were to show you this frozen dinner? How would you count it?
It wouldn't be because it's only one serving.
That's
Yeah,
true.
but that's one meal. It's one. So one choice doesn't necessarily mean one meal.
That is correct.
So you'd need 4 of them.
That is also correct. So 4 of these would count as one choice of protein.
Oh, I see.
Would it count as a vegetable or a grain? No. I don't think there's going to be enough vegetable in a frozen dinner to count, and it takes 12 servings of grains to equal one choice. So 4 of these would count as one choice, or you'd say this is 1/4 of a choice by itself.
Or something like 1,500 calories.
Yeah.
All right, so we said cottage cheese, 1 pound of cottage cheese is 2 choices. Here I've got ricotta cheese. Does this count? And if so, how?
It's less than the 7 grams. But it's,
I would say no. No.
Correct. It does not meet that protein threshold per serving.
No.
Veggie patties.
8 servings, 16 grams.
So
Yes.
yes. Count as 2.
Yeah.
Correct. 2 choices. Is everybody following how we're doing this so far?
I think so.
Okay. Another part of HPNAP that we are required to purchase milk for the HPNAP recipient agencies. Due to our cold storage capacity, the Cornwall cold storage capacity, as well as your cold storage capacity, we have chosen to do this by purchasing milk cards. For most of our counties, we use Stewart's. For Rockland, we use Sarah ShopRite. So we have to use a certain percentage of the budget to purchase the milk cards. Those will automatically be mailed to HPNAP recipients in usually March.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yes.
Is there any way that Orange County could get the Sarah? We really don't have any Stewarts near us.
Not where we are in Greenwood Lake. Yeah, not at all. But we have 4 ShopRites around us.
You got Patty, why don't you try reaching out to me maybe sometime next week? I'm not sure how that would work, but we can take a look at that.
Sure, we'll do.
Great.
Thanks.
Okay. So if you give a milk card to a family, first, please verify that they drink milk or that there was a Stewart's nearby. You have the option of either giving them the milk card or redeeming it yourself and giving them the milk. That's up to you. Does this count if you give them a card?
Sure.
Yes.
Yes. Whether or not they choose to redeem it is up to them. It's just like when we were talking client choice before, you are offering it to them. If they take it, they have the ability to convert that into a gallon of milk.
and I understand that Stewart's will let you, if there's a difference in cost, pay the difference if you want 2% or whole milk instead of. 1%.
That may vary from stewards to stewards, and that's not something that I can get involved in. But I have heard that also.
Especially if you have a child under 1, around 1, they want you to have whole milk for them, not
Absolutely.
skim milk. So that's where that's come into play for us.
Absolutely.
Is there a way we can get more of the cards, or how is that controlled?
So that's done as a percentage of your allocation. So if you're looking for additional cards, you can work with stewards and buy them from stewards, but we don't have any funding to send you more cards. But I've heard they are very good to work with and may offer you reduced rates, but I can't verify that.
Okay.
Beefaroni. Does this count? And if so, how?
No, it does, but you need 4 of them.
And
Correct.
for 1,200 and some 1,300 calories.
and a lot of sodium, but yes. Hummus. I love hummus. I keep hummus in the fridge at work to go with my carrots. A nice non-meat alternative, right?
4, 8. No, it's only 2 grams.
No.
Correct. It does not have enough protein. It's made with its chickpeas. First ingredient, chickpeas, but it does not have enough protein to count as a protein alternative. Nutella.
No. No.
No, I include this because I did find it in our inventory once and they had it listed as a non-meat protein. So I like to make sure that I do include this as it is not, it's tasty, but it is an extra. What do we think of this one?
I can't read it, actually.
It's 27 grams.
It's 21 grams of protein. There's 1 serving per container, serving size, 1 tray.
So you need 4 of them.
You'd need 4.
Correct. Correct.
Now that's 4 choices. That's not saying they would have to eat 4 of them to get what they need for protein. It's just we would have to give 4 of them to be equal to 1 choice.
Correct.
Bag.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And could you offer 4 different frozen meals to equal 1 choice? Absolutely. You know, goes back to, I said we would like for the family to eat together as a meal, but sometimes, the kids come home after school and they need a snack, or somebody is working and needs to bring a meal to work. So that all does work. You got to, balance everything, but 4 of these would equal 1 choice. Did you find this helpful?
Yes, I just
Yes.
This is for protein. What
This is
about
for protein.
fruit or vegetables? Is that anything different, or grains? Like
So fruit or vegetables, very straightforward. Is it like 99% fruit or vegetable? So if you have frozen vegetables mixed with rice, that does not count as a vegetable.
okay.
Your canned fruit that's packed in syrup will count. You can rinse the sugar off, but the cranberry sauce has so much sugar that it doesn't count. Same with the jelly. So the fruits and vegetables are very straightforward. The grains also pretty straightforward. We're taking the liberties with the mac and cheese and the rice-a-roni type of thing. Are there certain foods that you're thinking of that you wonder, how does it count?
No, I was just purely putting it across the line. Oh, well, we did this for protein, so we need to think about it for. So no, I think I have it. It's more like when you get to the fresh produce, like how many potatoes do you give them? You're not going to sit there and weigh them all,
Right, which is why we have that. It's 4 individuals is 1 choice for fruits and vegetables for the produce.
Okay. Thank you.
Protein is the one that gets the most confusing, which is why we spent so much time on the protein. Okay, so when going back to that chart, we have the minimums, we have the aim for. How much do you have to give out? You have to at least offer the minimum to every person based on family size according to that chart. If they choose not to take it, they choose not to take it. Ideally, you have something to offer them instead, but as long as you offered something in good faith, that is what counts. Should you turn in that self-assessment that shows that it's not meeting the requirements, do we cut you off immediately? No. Alex is going to reach out to you and say, we need to make some adjustments. It's a very long, scary email. But if you take a step back and take a deep breath and look at it, you can see what it is. It's meant to be helpful, offer you suggestions based on your ordering. And he is always available to come out and work with you or answer your question on the phone if you prefer. Again, this is that chart that we were talking about. It has at least the minimums as well as the aim for. If you have the ability to offer more than the minimums, please do not use this workshop as a reason to cut back unless you really financially cannot afford to do so. People are more in need than ever before. So now I want to know, what questions do you guys have? I am going to turn this off, stop sharing, and come back to the camera. Where am I? Here I am. Oh, no. So now I want to open it up for what questions you guys all have.
Pretty good.
Anybody?
Okay, hi. I have a
Hi,
question.
Patty.
Hi, how are you? So Darcy is here with me too. And so we have been doing client choice now since COVID. And we have an inventory sheet that we give out every Saturday. We're open every week on Saturday mornings. And people generally ask for a lot. We have a lot of different volunteers. And as much as we try to give guidelines, different volunteers pack things differently. So, it's hard to kind of have control over exactly what we give out, but we think we're giving out, enough food in a general sense for 3 days.
Okay.
But we also have a lot of things that we offer that wouldn't count toward the bag, condiments, soups, snacks, things like that. Do you have any guidelines about like how much we should offer of that? If it's like, should we offer those things once a month or twice a month? And if so, how do you keep track of that?
So how often do you serve people?
Once a week.
Once a week. It's going to actually come down to financially, how much can you afford? How much space do you have in terms of the extras? You want to make sure that you're able to focus on the meats and the potatoes and the grains for, to be silly there. So when you're doing a client list choice, so is it not written for a family of 5, they get this number of cans? Or is it because you got dry, you have the refrigerated and the frozen? Is that what's throwing it off?
Sometimes we just get so busy that, yes, we do have on the sheet, like, canned vegetables, 2 per family, or, we'll do something like,
or two per person, or we'll have, like, we have the meats, 2 to 3 of the meats, because they, so a lot of times those packages are pretty big.
Yeah.
And and then when we have like a single person, we do try to kind of steer them away from the bigger packages. Say we try to keep those for our bigger families. It's just that it seems that, to be honest, it's our groups of 1 and 2 that we oftentimes have the hardest time controlling bag size, so to speak, but still trying to make sure that they're getting enough. But there's just, I guess it's fairness is where we're kind of going. So, and trying to make an easy cheat sheet for our people, because they're the ones bagging in the back, and and everybody's like rush. We want to get this, they want to get out.
Yeah, it's tough. It gets very busy, and then I think kind of sometimes the rules kind of fall a little bit by the wayside,
So ultimately, it's up to you guys to be determining, ensuring that your volunteers are being consistent. And I would encourage that you make sure that some volunteers are probably trying to be nice and give a little bit more.
Yes.
You have to make sure that people are being treated evenly. I would really encourage that you keep the HPNAP guide chart posted, not just for your volunteers to see, but for the people receiving the food to see, because they're going to start issues of, they got more than I did. How come they're getting more? You like that person more? What did I do? What did I do to you? So you want to make sure that you are being equitable in terms of that. Some of the slides in here, I did have, what equals one choice based on that. Let me see if I can go back into sharing my screen right now. I have so many things open still. Sorry. Share screen.
okay.
Hello. So I don't know if maybe having this hanging would be helpful.
Oh, yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, something like that would probably help. And then they could see that we're not being unfair. We're going by that rule. Yeah.
Right. And it's not, I mean, there's the whole USDA civil rights stuff, but human nature is to start arguing if somebody is apparently getting more than me for no apparent reason other than you like that person more.
Yeah.
So you just want to try to ensure consistency. And I think we might have gone off the question. I apologize.
No, it's okay. Thank you.
Patricia, do you have client choice where they walk through?
They don't walk through. We use an inventory sheet.
Okay. But you can always put, that.
We do have numbers and that, but it's like with anything, people choose to follow directions as they wish.
Yeah.
Do you write on the inventory list what size the family is so that when the volunteer is packing it now?
Yes, we do now. Yeah.
We try, well, yeah, we do try to, and make sure that we get that through. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. What other questions does everybody have?
I'm still a little confused about the limits when we're ordering on the USDA. Can you explain that a little bit more? I know it varies according to what your agency does, but
it does. So the USDA limits based on the number of meals that you serve per month, you're assigned a limit. And those limits we will be looking at them in the next month or so, but rolling them out once we get through the holiday season. I don't want to change anything for the holiday season for anybody. So in January, your limits might change. They might go up, they might go down, they might stay the same. So if you're assigned, what?
Go ahead.
If you're assigned a case limit of say 10, that's 10 cases of every type of USDA item that we have in inventory. When you're looking at the inventory in PWW, you're only going to see 10, 10, 10. That doesn't mean that's all that we have in the warehouse. That just means that's all that we are showing to you based on your limit. We also often have limits on our Nourish New York product, just due to limited availability to ensure equity and everybody gets a choice. When looking online in PWW, again, you're just going to see the limit of what you can order for that particular product. It might differ from the USDA limit.
Okay, thank you.
Did that help?
Yes.
Okay. What other questions?
We're currently we're packing our bags and we're doing 1 hour a day right now, Monday through Friday. We are going to be transitioning to in-person shopping experience and opening 25 hours a week. So I was just wondering if anybody has any tips or tricks. This is a new position and well, new for me. I've only been in the position for maybe 6 weeks. So I'm just trying to take in as much to make our transition smooth.
Heather, can I ask where you're located?
I'm located in here. I'm located in Middletown, New York.
Okay.
I am at Honor Emergency Housing Shelter.
That's quite a change that you guys are undergoing. So
Yeah.
what tips do you guys all have for her?
Well, a problem that I run into is I'm open 2 days a week and people come both days and get the food. And I've asked once a week that the families come.
And so do you tell them, I'm sorry, I've already served you this week, come back next week?
And the
Mhm.
hardest thing is to say
But
no.
if they really need food and they don't have it, then I give it to them. You know, if they tell me, well, this happened or that happened, then I give it to them. But there's others that just try and, oh, that wasn't me. That was my sister that looks like me, or that was somebody else. It wasn't me.
We have a very old school card system, but alphabetically, and we write on the back of the card the dates they were there. They're, as I said, they're allowed to come twice a month. And we just say, I'm sorry, you've already been here twice. What we do allow is after 11 o'clock on the days, on any days, anybody can come back and get free bread and vegetables. So we tell them, you know, please help yourself to the bread and vegetables that are here, but we don't provide food more than twice a month.
So currently we allow them to come once a week. We are looking to do once a month when we open up to store shopping. So I guess we had some people come through twice a week and we've had conversations with them. Obviously we're not going to turn anybody away that is in need. We're not going to give them like multiples, but how do you have those conversations? It's kind of like you don't want to put somebody out, but it's like, where do you draw the line from like where do you draw the line from like taking advantage to like in need? You know what I mean?
We have a few other food pantries in our area, and I maintain a list of all those pantries and when they're open. And now certainly if somebody walks in and says, I really need the food, we're going to give it to them, definitely.
Right.
But I hand them the list of all the other food pantries that they can go to as well.
All right.
So I want to mention that we are rolling out Service Insights. If you haven't heard of Service Insights, that is free software from Feeding America. We're able to help you get internet or a tablet if that's what you need. So it's an intake system, and you would have them in the computer, and so that when they come to visit you, you can see when they last came. If it's something that you want to, we now have it posted on our website. If you want more information about that, I think we've gotten 24 sites on board at this point. So if you go to Alex, can you pop? It's under agency resources and forms. Can you pop that into the chat box, please?
What is it called?
I'll go find that real quick.
Thank you. Service Insights. And it's certainly not meant to be a substitute for anything we're talking about. It just might be an added tool. Lori?
One of the other things in our pantry is during COVID, we made the decision to allow people to come once a week. And we started to realize that that was not only taxing to the food pantry, but people actually were starting to treat the food pantry as a grocery store. So the food pantry directors made a big change and explained to people that they were able to come twice a month instead, because we literally weren't able to sustain it. Because I got a phone call one time and somebody said, you know, I'm out of pasta. Can I just stop by the food pantry and get some more? They were starting to think of the food pantry as different than an emergency food pantry as well. So we realized that changes had to be made in order to allow the food pantry to sustain what it needed to do, as well as provide people what they needed And it was actually starting to tip into people treating it more like a grocery store.
Marcia?
Marcia.
They're calling on you.
What?
Oh, it looked like Marcia looked like you were trying to talk. I'm sorry.
We have people come once a month, so they can come every 4 weeks, but we do serve them also for 5 days. So, but, you know, and I think Sue had written out here too, we do push them or make sure they're aware of how to sign up for some other programs such as SNAP or some of the other programs that are available. I think, Sue, it was 211 on your cell phone. You dial that and you can get someone to help you with that. So
Yeah,
someone
that's United Way.
Okay. You know, people are coming all the time, then they might need some other services.
Heather, if you have not yet spoken to Michael Barbera out of the Food Bank of the Hudson Valley, he's the agency services coordinator down there. So he might be a good resource as well. He's at extension 116.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. What other questions do you guys have?
Here, there was just a question about if the recording will be on our website, and we confirmed that it will be after some editing, correct?
After some editing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you guys don't have the whole 10 minutes you were in the breakout rooms.
I really like the idea of more client choice. I mean, I encourage people, you know, look through the bags. If there's something you won't eat, I'd rather take it back and give it to someone else that'll take it. But I do feel that the volunteers are very hesitant, some or many, since post-COVID, to let people back in the building. You know, they want them outside the doors and we'll hand you the bags. But I really do like the idea. I wondered how anyone has gone from totally pre-packing to their to the client choice. How do you sell that in your own pantry?
We have a combination. They get their box of food and then there are choice items on a table that they could have if they wanted them. And
So
that
it's like
might be
extra bread or produce.
extra bread, bagels. We get bagels from a bagel company. You know, the chips, the condiments, toothpaste, different things that are donated in, then we just have there and somebody will say, can I have that? And we just hand it to them.
Okay.
It is a gentle way to start.
We're still outside. We're still I'm standing outside with the food and handing it, and the people in the building are packing the things, but pretty soon they'll be in.
Okay.
So Heather, let me go back to you. You guys are going from once a week to client choice shopping. How did you guys sell your staff on that?
So currently it's me and we don't have any volunteers at the moment. I run the pantry. I have my my manager as well. And there is an employee that helps that was in the kitchen and in the food pantry. I have her 3 days a week. So I'm super excited about it. Our whole team is very, very excited about it. I guess they I had heard that they did it like very, very they did it right before COVID, but it was a very short amount of time, and that they were really excited. So then now we are looking to go back into doing that. We have a decently large space. So currently we're just I'm making bags every day. But we have a lot of vendors that we're working with. We have also Nourish New York that we from the state that grant from that we are able to get a lot more New York grown items. So I'm working with vendors daily, setting them up for deliveries. We had been going to the food bank twice a week. Now, we were supposed to open in October. We're just waiting on a couple more things to click in, but for me, I want to offer lots of options. I've been working on like cards to hand out so they know how many choices There's a local food pantry that just opened for in-person shopping, and she's fantastic, and she has a lot of ideas as well. And we for like cards and stuff. So I know in the beginning we have a system that we're going to be intaking everybody to put all their information in, so then we can keep track of it that way. But we're just like in that it's just me, it's just us. So we're all on the same page, thankfully.
That's great.
But volunteer wise, we don't have any right now. But that is a list that is definitely needed.
Yeah, big change you're gonna have. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely.
So we have 3 or 4 minutes left. Any last questions?
Not so much a question, but just to Heather, I'm totally new at this. We're a mobile food pantry operating under the first year of a 2-year grant. But I will say that system you referred to, the service insights or whatever it is, they brought that sort of loaded up for us on the computers, and we do that. It's good. I'm glad it enables us to be pretty much paper free, and we don't really have we haven't worked out like storage and filing and stuff yet. So it's been, I would say my understanding is it's free. So I just would say, Heather, it's a good resource.
And both Alex and I put it in
You don't
chat.
have to reinvent the wheel, in terms of registering people and such.
Well, we have a system already set in place for the shelter. So they're just intertwining it together, I guess. I'm not really sure. Like I said, I'm very new. So I'm not sure what I know that they are definitely looking at something to make sure that our people are registered and verifying household residents, stuff like that. So I am going to pass this along though, because that's super exciting that there is another app that the pantry down the road uses. It's called Plentiful, and she said it was super easy. And they have all volunteers except for the director and the coordinator. But she said that one was a really good one too, that I passed along to the admin.
So we are looking for new agencies to join our pilot program with Service Insights. If anybody is interested, Alex put the link in. I didn't see it. I put it in, but it was already there. So I want to thank all of you. I was really worried about how this would go doing it virtually. While it's still better in person, I'm hoping that you found it to be useful.
Yes.
Please
Yes.
know Alex is there to answer any questions that you have. Anything he can't answer, I will be able to answer. We really, really thank you for joining us. And
do you think you could do a training on the Service Insights, the pilot program one time? Could that be something that we could all get a taste of? You don't have to promise today, but just think about it.
I know that there's going to be information on it coming out in our newsletter later this month. But that is something we are looking to come up with our workshops for 2024. If you have ideas for workshops for 2024, please let me know, whether now or email me. But I can add that to the list and see what Carmen and Katie think on that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. This was very well done. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.